We gather in the cosmos bright. Stars and ships take flight tonight. In the void where dreams do play. Soul citizens lead the way. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed. Squadrons call on the horizon. Battles fought, our hearts aren't frightened. In our ships we face the dawn. Soul citizens carry on. Oh, planets spin and light years fly. Boundless space where hopes reside. Brotherhood in every star. Soul citizens, here we are. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed.
Greetings. Welcome back to Soul Citizens. I'm Griffin Gaming RPG, and we are happy to be back with you on today, March the 16th. I'm joined with two of my compadres, the one and the only Fastcart FC and the one and the only Kelosal. How are you, my friends?
I'm back. I'm back. That means I got no kids.
That's right. You're on break right now, right? You're going into break this week.
Yeah. We sent those kids back and said, take your kids. Good to be back, Griff.
That's good. Well, good. You get a little break in. Fastcart, how about you? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to see Colossal. I'm hoping he'll take pictures of himself when he goes to the beach and party with all those young people.
Mm. Okay, that's great.
I don't know. We got some rules for those young people. We got those rules for those rule breakers down there.
That's great.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great.
I'm
No,
doing pretty
doing
good right now.
thank
I'm
you.
over there partying right now in 79-degree heat. Wonderful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm happy to say that I did get a break mule, but I'm still waiting for my 4x4 land claim as part of my my golden parachute for my last show on Soul Talk next
Oh.
Thursday. But yeah, hopefully that's coming soon. Hopefully that's coming soon.
Keep waiting. Keep waiting. Well, listen, we want to say welcome to everybody. Glad you guys are here with us. I did not mean to have this ad up on the screen. I think I must have hit this button by accident. So I'm going to turn this off for right now and put up what should have been up, which is going to be welcoming you guys to our show today, which is called Let's Play Star Citizen 2015. The video that we opened up with today was actually a promotional trailer that was done back in 2015 for Star Citizen when we were at. Did you see what version we were at, guys? Did you notice that? What
Was it
version?
1.3?
Yeah,
2.0. Yeah,
Is
we
it
were right.
2.0?
We were getting
Good
ready to go. We
Lord.
were coming out of 1.3. You hit the numbers right, Colossal. We were coming out
Oh.
of 1.3 and getting ready to go into 2.0.
And
And
one thing I did notice in
mhm.
that trailer, I've forgotten. I passed this time, but even back then they said playable now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, which is scary. And when I saw that, I was kind of like, wow, we were saying that back then because
That's what
it
I'm
doesn't feel
saying.
like it was that. It doesn't feel like it was that far back, right?
No.
But yeah, this is definitely going to be a trip down memory lane for some of us. For some of you, it's going to be the first time that you've seen a lot of the footage that we're going to show you. Thracazogs, thank you so much. As always, kicking us
Thank you.
off with the first gift community sub. We really appreciate that. Thank you as always. To went to Fierce 8. Thank you for that.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting time. And I think it's kind of apropos that we're doing 2.0 because we've just gone into 4.0. And when we left from 1.3 into 2.0, it was a big deal. Just like when we went from 2.6 into 3.0, it was a big deal. But what we're going to do is take you guys back a little bit. Fastcart was around back then. Colossal was around back then. I was back
Mhm.
around then. And we are going to have some of this is going to spark some stuff in their minds because they're going to be like, oh man, I completely forgot about that because there's been so much information that has taken place over the last 10 years. And if Serious Fun was here, he'd be telling us that 10 years is often meaningful for people. That number 10 means a milestone or that something changes. So we're going to talk about that today. I want to ask both of you guys though, before we start showing folks stuff, when you think back, Colossal, when did you come into the game? What year was it? Do you remember what year it was when you came in?
14.
14.
I've been following it since 12.
Since 12. Okay.
Um,
So
yeah.
when you saw trailers like this, and ask Fast Car, I'm asking you the same question. How did you feel when we were getting ready to go into that next thing? When you saw stuff like this and we were going to now have a Port Olisar and we were going to have the Kovalex and all this other stuff. How did you feel with that?
Is that
Are
UFC?
you talking to me or Colossal?
Well, I was saying Colossal. I said I'm going to ask you the
Oh.
same
That's what I
question,
thought.
but I'm going to Colossal
Oh.
first.
I mean, I was excited because when we first played, you had to learn how to fly first. There was the asteroid thing, that you came out of,
Yeah.
and you learned how to fly, and there was the old tools of seeing your weapons and in like a greenish color background that you saw your weapons and things like that. And you had to learn how to fly and learn how to target and learn how to land. But that was exciting at that time because there weren't that many games going on that would allow you to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Imperium coming out around that time,
Mhm.
but Imperium had a different type of, it's almost like the same type of gameplay, but a different, obviously, engine
Yeah.
that Imperium had. So
Yeah.
that was pretty much the big deal at that time.
Mhm.
But it was neat to see that, and it was I guess it fed into the vision that a lot of us thought that Chris Roberts would give us, and that we were excited for. It was an exciting time at that time.
Yeah. FC, it's funny. Colossal mentions about the engine. We were still dealing with CryEngine back at this
Yep.
time too. So for you, Fast Cart, when you saw this, I mean, one of the things I think I want to convey to people is that looking back on this 10 years, into the past to the future, whatever, you're gonna look at some of this stuff and say yuck. But we weren't saying yuck back then, were we, Fastcart, when we saw this stuff?
No, we were like Colossus said. I was excited coming into 2.0. They called it a baby PU if you remember back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Portal saw and everything coming online, because back then the Arena Commander was really a testing bed for getting our feet wet, and
Right.
and we had Arena Commander and I think we had a social module just before that, right?
You
Yeah,
were in the
we had a social
modules,
module.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The social module was just before that with Art Corp.
Yeah.
And then let me go in order. It had the Hangar module, the Arena Commander, or vice versa. I think Arena Commander came first, then the Hangar module, then the social module, then the baby PU. So yeah, that was all generating a lot of excitement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny, we forget about that. Remember when we used to have to log in? You had the different things that you could go. You couldn't go. There was no universe, right? It was either
Right.
the module or the this or something like that, right? Back in the day, it was
Right.
modules, right? It's
Right, modules. Yeah.
nothing was connected. Yeah, nothing was connected. One of the things that I wanted to go over with you guys too, and guys, we're just going to put the link in for you. We're not going to show this on screen, but there's an article. This was from when we were in 1.3. This was an article that was in WCCF Tech, and it talked about they did some benchmarking, right? Because they were talking about how powerful Star Citizen was, and they wanted to do all this testing to see. Because back in the early days, we were told that you were going to have a power PC to run this thing,
Right.
not no regular PC. Okay.
No.
And just to give you an idea of what they were using back then to test this, they were on the motherboard was an AS Rock motherboard, a Z170 Extreme 4 on an Intel Core i5. That was what was considered like really big back then, right? An i5 running a 6600K. But here's the kicker. It was on a Seagate 2 terabyte hard drive. Now, do you guys remember at one point we were doing hard drives before we started doing SSDs?
Yes, sir. Definitely on the hard drive. As a matter of fact, I was on a hybrid. I went ahead and got a hybrid a little bit later, because everybody's like, oh, later on down the line, everybody jumped to SSDs.
Right.
But even when everybody jumped to SSDs, I jumped to hybrids. And the hybrids was like the iffy ones. We don't know how the hybrid's going to be. It was a half of a HDD, half of a SSD. And the computer decided which went on the SSD depending on how often you used it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was later on down the line. But yeah, HDDs was the fad of the land at the time.
Yeah.
Until we realized how bad it was.
Yeah. And
I came in at 2014.
uh-huh.
I don't remember ever installing on a mechanical hard drive unless it was
Really?
by accident.
Really?
I don't remember.
Oh, you've just
Like,
forgotten because you weren't on no
I just
SSD in
forgot.
2014.
Maybe I did. That's probably what it is.
Oh, I
That's
guarantee
probably
you.
what it is.
I guarantee you were not doing.
'Cause I remember my first SSD was 250 gigabyte, and Star Citizen took up a huge chunk of that. I barely had any. I didn't know.
If your
I
first
didn't have
one,
any room for anything else.
if your first one was a 250 gigabyte, and for you have to bought that at an affordable price, you definitely were on a hard drive before that. You honestly, you don't remember logging into Star Citizen? It took forever to start up.
I remember it took forever, but that was only when I accidentally installed it. I'm like, why did this take so long? Then I look, I put it on my hard drive by accident.
Yeah, I was going to say. And the other thing was that we were using GTX 960 video cards, 960s and 970s.
Had a 970 until 2021.
Yeah, if you had a lot of money, you might have been one of the people that had like a Titan X. Do you remember that card, Colossal? The Titan X.
Titan X or 980.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it, but I didn't have it.
Yeah, I
know.
know. I couldn't afford one back then. No, for real. Yeah, but yeah, the setups were just totally different back then, and you know,
Yeah, Jones said he was on the SSD since 2014. God, you had the clairvoyance in
Yeah,
the
see,
chat.
maybe
Good
I'm not
Lord.
misremembering.
but
Yeah,
I don't know. Captain Jones is a power user. I don't know if fastcart
that's
was
true.
on that old rig he had. I don't know, man. Maybe he did.
I was trying to maximize my PC back then because I knew like I would get a big performance boost if I went from mechanical to SSD.
Oh,
So
okay. OC. Oh man, OCZ. I haven't heard them in so long. Oh my God. Yeah. That's really going
right.
back. And then then Thrakazai was talking about raids. I remember people were doing raids and stuff back then. That's crazy. Wow. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this a little bit. What we're going to be doing today, gang, is looking at some videos. We've got some videos. Most of these are going to be CIG videos. We've got one we're going to look at in particular from Buzzkiller that we're going to take a look at. But we want to kind of give you guys an idea of what it would have been like. Now, there's another reason why we're doing this 2015, Joe. There wasn't a certain echo after post 2015, 2016, 17 of people saying, oh, the game was scheduled to come out in 2015. How come it didn't come out in 2015? They should have put it out in 2015. So we're going to let you guys see, for those of you who weren't around, what the game was like in 2015. And you can judge, and again, we thought the game looked fabulous back then. We thought it looked amazing.
It was, comparatively.
Amazing. Yes, amazing. So we want to keep that in mind, that we're kind of looking backward, right? But it's not just in the sense of how the game looked. It was how the game played, whether there were mechanics in it to make good gameplay. All that stuff is a part of what was in place. So the first part of the show we're going to be looking at is stuff that you see from CitizenCon and GamesCon and South by Southwest, because CIG used to go to all these different events. And then as we go further, we're going to show you some stuff from Squadron 42, because that was really what was scheduled to come out with Squadron 42. That was the thing that everybody was anticipating in 2015-ish to come out, because CIG had said, hey, we're going to try to put this game out in 2015. So let's take a look at our first videos from that period of time. This very first one that we're going to show you guys is actually from South by Southwest, and it was a video montage. It's about 5 minutes long. This came out in March of 2015. Okay, here we go. At least I think. Let me hit you guys real quick. Fast cart. Was there anything in there that stood out to you, either about what you saw or any scenes in there that kind of trigger anything in your mind in relation to 2015?
Yeah, I didn't realize that Body Dragon they were advertising or had that on the world map back then. That surprised me. Like, wait, but they had Body Dragon back in 2015.
Yeah, I was
But
completely
yeah,
stunned
so
on that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I forget what year that actually came out, but that took a while. And so, some of the other stuff that we saw in this trailer still isn't in the game, like that freelancer with the vertical engine and rotating and stuff like that. That's still not in the game.
Maybe still not in the
Um,
game. I don't think they're going to put that in the game.
right, right.
Don't tell Melvillus that though. But go ahead.
Apologies
Yeah,
to
right,
Melvillus.
right,
Mhm.
right. Landing in the opening at Arcot, that would have been great. But, you know, now we have all the instant hangers and everything like that. But I would have enjoyed to be able to go into the open and getting my ship and whatnot. But I I, I can live with that.
Hmm.
About it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the old character model. Oh boy.
Okay.
Remember
Okay.
how we used to thought the old character models these look great,
Yeah.
but now they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's another one.
Okay. Colossal, what about you? Anything stand out for you?
I'm still waiting for the shield barriers that we haven't got with the Crytek engine. Still waiting for that.
Mm.
But what stood out was Disaster Alley over there in Area 18, where all the buggies were running around. That's when everybody's blowing up.
Yeah.
I remember logging into the game. You had to log into that little waiting room before you got into
Yes.
Area 18.
Yes.
You know, where you saw the spaceport out there. You couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go into the spaceport. That was interesting. Couldn't go
Right.
to it at the time, but you could
No,
see.
in the trailer you could.
Huh?
In the trailer you could, but you couldn't do it in the game.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, but you saw the Aquila was out there,
Yeah.
but you couldn't go out there at that time unless you glitched through.
Right.
And of course the area where there was a scan, you at one point did get scanned.
Yeah.
You know, before the doors opened for you to go out into Art Court, and of course the hospital was over to the right as soon as you got out those doors. As soon as and you did see people in there, and there were rooms that you couldn't. There were a room that you could go in that you couldn't go in at one point until they opened it, but then they changed everything else around. That was interesting to see. You know, going back, that took a lot of that brought us back.
Yeah. Yeah. There was what I thought was it was an interesting hodgepodge of a lot of things. There was footage in there from stuff that was an early concept. Like they showed some stuff even going back to like Chris's first video with the bingo. With people walking inside of the bingo carrier. Then there was stuff that was, as you mentioned, Colossal, the old entrance way before you went through customs to get into Area 18 in the module. Then there was some stuff that was on Port Ola side. There was like a variety of just different things that they kind of trailers. There was stuff from the 300i commercial. There was just a bunch of different things that was like more of a promo. And there were those concept things, right? And this is kind of funny to me because like they showed the hospital. The hospital I'm talking about, Colossal, you used to come through and go to the right, the medical hospital right there. They showed that hospital with a guy getting off the bed with a doctor in the room and everything, right? And that wasn't what really happened. When you died, you woke up in a completely empty room and you just got out of the bed and ran out. That was it. There was no patients waiting. There were no NPCs. So there was a lot of stuff that, you know, the world felt fairly empty, you know, when you went into it in comparison to what you saw visually in the game. And it's kind of, you know, we've gotten used to having NPCs, whether they're standing around or walking around for so long, but there was a time where we did not have any NPCs, you know, in the areas of the game, which is interesting to me.
You know, one thing that this video did miss, it didn't mention exploding buggies, the exploding PTVs. They were everywhere.
Well, Colossal, no, they weren't exploding PTVs. Colossal mentioned that. They only exploded because you crashed them, but you could you could drive the PTVs around in Area 18 for quite a while.
It was Death Alley. Every time you went there, you got killed by somebody driving around in the buggy,
trying to run you over. Yeah,
run you over and blow you up. You know.
Okay. Well, that was that one. Let's take a look at this next one. Now, this next video that we're going to show you guys is by Buzzkiller, and I can't overemphasize the fact that when we saw these ships, we were just blown away. They looked amazing. I can't, and it's kind of hard to describe this now because we're used to the game being a certain way. Jade says our audio is low. Wow. Um, can you guys give us a test real quick? I know mine might be low because my microphone's a little further away. Can you guys give me a check?
Testing, testing, one, two.
Baby, 1, 2, 3,
Is that
4.
better? Is that better, gang?
Go ahead, Kelosal. Say something.
Okay,
Not to me.
serious. Oh, are you saying not to me? It's not loud. Okay, everybody's saying it's good. Okay, all right, Jade, you may have to boost us a little bit then.
Boost it up, Jade.
The what was I gonna say? Oh, I was saying that we used to think this stuff was amazing back in the day, right? So we're gonna take a look at one of the ships that was considered to be like this really grand ship back then, and it was the Constellation Phoenix. So I'm going to kind of speed through this a little bit. This is Buzzkiller's video. I want to give him credit to that, and we're going to put a link for that in there. So if you guys want to go back and see this, feel free. Just want you to kind of be braced for this because it's going to be kind of a shock for some of you. Let's take a look at this video. Let's see, where is it?
Hello, Star Citizens. Buzzkiller here, and welcome back to the hangar. For today's video, I'm taking a quick look at the Constellation Phoenix. Now, the reason I'm taking a look at this particular ship is because, like the Cutlass series, the Constellation lineup is currently going through a bit of a redesign. So, not only are they going to be upgrading the level of detail on these ships, but they're also going to be porting it over into the new modular system, which should greatly increase the versatility of the Constellation lineup. Now, the Constellation Phoenix is the limited variant of the Constellation lineup, and it is actually a very limited ship. Now, most ships, like say the Mustang lineups, you have the Mustang Delta. Now, the Mustang Delta was the limited variant for the Mustangs, and it went on sale for about a week, and then it also pops up during special sales. Not so with the Phoenix. The Phoenix actually falls into a different class of limited ships, and then it's limited by hull. So like the Idris and the Javelin Destroyer, this ship was limited to a certain number. Now, the Constellation Phoenix was limited to a run of 5,000. And since it's been such a long time since this ship was actually released, and it hasn't gone on sale since, I don't know how many of those 5,000 are actually still out in the wild. So this could be possibly a very rare ship. So let's take a look at some of the stats, and I'll show you the reason why I actually decided to purchase this particular ship. So the Constellation Phoenix is again the luxury touring variant. It has a max crew of 5 and a cargo capacity of 540 freight units, which if you take a look at the other ships of the line, like the Andromeda, I believe it has an 1,100 freight unit capacity, and then you have the dedicated cargo hauler, the Taurus, which comes in at a whopping 1,900 freight units. So this ship is fairly limited in its cargo capacity compared to the other variants. Moving on, we have the power plant, and this is where the Phoenix actually shines. The Phoenix has a size 7 max power plant. It comes with a 6, while the other constellations have a maximum of 6 and come with a 5. Now, all of them, of course, I believe except for the Taurus, come with 4 TR4 engines. I'm sorry, the Taurus actually comes with 4 TR4 engines. The others come with TR5. And these are the absolutely massive engines that you see here on the 4 pylons. And these engines are actually gimbaled as well, so they'll act as sort of pseudo-maneuvering thrusters. And I'll show you kind of how they work. Well, I'll give you an idea. I can't really show you because the animations, of course, don't work.
Okay, I want to stop there for a moment. First of all, to let you guys know, again, this was back when we were in CryEngine. Secondly, what you're looking at is not a gray box. this was what we got that we thought looked so fabulous. We were excited to see this version of the Constellation. It he does mention the other ones. We know the Taurus wasn't out at this time. The Aquila wasn't out at this time. I think only the Constellation Andromeda and Phoenix were the ones. And mind you, these did not fly. The only place you could see them was in the hangar at this time too. So keep that in mind. Um, Anything you guys want to point out before I go to the interior on this ship? Because I'm going to jump to the interior a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
I did forget that we did have player hangars at that time. A lot of them that we could go ahead and drive through and fly, and that we did see these ships in there. Go ahead, fastcart.
no, some people are complaining, and not complaining, but they're talking in the chat. Yeah, this looks like a gray box ship instead of a fully released ship. This is the G, not it was not RTX GTX 900 series time. So yeah, there's quite a big difference. I didn't know these were limited to 5,000 ships at the time, but I do remember that when during the holiday sales, November sales, if a ship had a limited number of hulls, it used to tell you how many ships were available to be bought before they sold out. CIG stopped doing that years ago. I forget when they stopped doing that, but they would tell you like there's only like 200 ships left or 100 ships left. And I guess that created a certain level of FOMO that CIG wasn't comfortable with, so they took that number away. We don't know how many ships are available during these waves now. Someone else mentioned freight unit versus SCU. Yeah, they used to be called freight unit back in the day, and they weren't equal to a SCU as we come to know them. But they changed them because the initials for freight units. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why they changed them, and then the mech changed along with SCU.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay, let's take a quick look at the interior here
Here in a little bit.
and keep in mind that we honestly, this was
So let's go ahead and go
at
inside.
the time called a touring luxury ship, and so we were very excited. You can see this is the old round elevator with the rails.
And here we go. Now, one thing you may notice if you've seen reviews or tours of these other ships
This
is
was one of
how
my favorite ships
clean
too.
and sterile this ship really looks. I mean, I kind of like the aesthetics of it, but I wish they had gone with a little bit more color. Maybe not dirty, because this is a luxury ship, but give it a little more contrasting colors, because the white ceiling with the white walls, it just doesn't have enough contrast, even with the wood panel flooring, which is absolutely beautiful, by the way, if you take a quick close look at it. The wood grain texturing is actually really, really well done. It's very detailed. I'm sure you've seen it if you own or have access to a Revel in York hangar. It even has little scratches in it, as you would think it would have if you walked on this wood paneling. Little wood and chrome accents everywhere. It's pretty cool. I wish that like I said, that they'd gone with a little bit more color in this area, though. So let's go ahead and sit down in the pilot seat here, or the commander's seat, whichever you want to call it. Captain's seat.
Look at those control panels, huh?
And actually, it's not a bad view for such a large ship. Of course, RSI is well known for their large glass canopies. You've got the Aurora, this. I thought the Carrack was RSI, but it's actually Anvil.
So I'm going to stop there. You guys can see some of the differences here in how the Connie line looks now versus that. And again, we're not going to watch all this video. We're going to go through some segments here. But we really want to show you just how different this ship was. I think one of the promos we put out was, did you guys remember that the Connie used to be able to carry 25.
We've been told by CIG that that was just an oversight, and right now feature of the
that was actually the
Constellation
smuggling
Taurus,
compartment
so it
that
probably
was
just
supposed to
got
be on the Taurus. They actually
overlooked
carried
and
it over
put
on the
into
Phoenix
here
by accident.
Now we can actually get up into the tops turret. Let me go ahead and open that up. There we go. And we're up. And then it opens up, and of course the turret rises up into its firing position. Now I'm not sure why we sit so high. I think we're sitting a little bit too high for that heads-up display, and it's a little dark to see through, so hopefully they'll make some changes to that. And of course that little, I don't know what's going on there in the bottom left corner of the screen, but it's more transparent than the rest. It'd be nice if they actually made it the whole screen that transparent. So not bad viewing angles to the top and sides in this turret. Let's go to an external view. Find the right button now. There we go.
That's what the turret looked like.
And these weapons are of course placeholders. Those are supposed to be size 4 weapons. Uh-oh. Did I crash?
I'm going to speed it up a little bit here again. Take us back into the interior.
Oh, it really messed me up this time.
Do you remember, fastcart, that we used to have works of art on the wall?
Well, I can't move my head. Turn on track IR.
No.
Oh, okay, that's the
Yeah,
dining
we're actually
No, I
sitting
forget about
way
that.
above the
That
table
was the
here.
dining table that came down
So
from
it's
the
a little
ceiling.
glitch that's actually new to the 1.1 patch. So it wasn't doing that before.
Yeah, I got my first ship finished way after this.
Ah, okay. I had a Connie, so the Connie
Of course, you
had
have these
that
little
table.
placeholder screens everywhere.
Yeah,
I
the
really don't
Andromeda,
like
I mean.
these because of the
Yeah,
way
I'm
they're-
sorry, the Andromeda. Yes,
It's
the
almost like
Andromeda.
it's got double vision. It's really hard to look at without getting a bit of a headache. To the rear of the kitchen area, we have a toilet. You can't actually sit on this one. It has no actions. The action just closes the door again. And on this side, you have a little shower. A little
I
bit
think
further
this is
back,
also
we
a
have
good
our
example
sleep.
of how metrics weren't in, because if the scaling on things don't look right. You know what I mean? Door sizes. You look at the bed areas. It just doesn't look
Area.
right.
And these, of course, double as escape pods. So to get up at the top, we actually have to extend the little ladder. And then you climb up. And again, we have some more of those annoying placeholder screens. I guess in order to give it a little bit of a luxury appearance, they've added
You don't
these
remember
little
that painting?
paintings everywhere. And I actually really like this particular painting. I like the wood frame. It has that same great grain.
The
But
generic
look at the
Picasso.
bump mapping on this painting.
I
It
think I got
actually
my
looks
first
like it
Phoenix
was
after Josh
painted on a
Toon did
canvas.
the rework.
Really?
So
Okay.
paint everywhere.
So I'm going to
They
go ahead a
still
little
have-
bit further and
they
show you guys the back of the
differently in the
Connie,
concept,
'cause
they
this is
actually-
the thing that's interesting.
Going into the rear section. Now this is where the Phoenix differs drastically from the rest of the lineup. This is your luxury area, your luxury quarters. And I don't know why it has so many seats back here. If you had 6 people plus 4 at the bar, I mean,
There are 23
this would be a
seats
really
back there.
crowded ship.
I'm sorry, 22 seats.
But you have your little kitchen area over here with a refrigerator that does open up.
When the refrigerators did work.
These cabinets don't open up, but I'm sure that they will. And your sink and stove area.
You're right, Mad Style.
And over here you have your bar. Unfortunately, they still
Okay,
haven't put the
that
bottles in. That's
kitchen
been a
sink
problem
didn't look
since the
right.
ship was released. But they do have the shadows for the bottles on the wall. I'm hoping that maybe they integrate like the liquor cabinet from the subscriber awards to put in here. That'd be pretty nice. Get more of that wood grain surfacing on the bars. Chrome chairs with glass. Now see, this is the level of transparency I'd want in the turret. I'd actually want this table and chairs to be a little bit darker glass because you can barely see it. And that chrome is a little over the top. A little over the top. It's a lot over the top, actually. Another difference for this ship is it has a skylight overhead. You can barely see through it. And then you have your little entertainment area here.
So you've got 6 seats at the table, then you've got 4 here with these 2 couches.
These seats are really cool. I mean, all of the seats in the ship have this leather on them, and it's very, very detailed leather. Very nice looking. It even has a bit of a bump map going on there to give it some texture. Nice looking. Little end tables here. And your TV screen there. And here's the infamous hot
All right.
tub.
There's your hot tub, Kelosal. 8 people.
Nobody seems to like this.
Yeah, no, you can keep
can
every
understand
last
why.
crusty butt away from me
I'd kind of
Well, 8
like to
people
remove it as well.
in that hot tub.
It seems a little over the top.
Oh, Shimpasa's like, oh no.
And then, of course, you're
And mind you,
completely
the bedroom was also out in the open too.
open
Which was interesting.
sleeping area.
Right. So you had the hot tub, the
No
dining
privacy at all
room,
back
and
here.
the bedroom all in one big area.
Yeah, that would
Where's
be
the
good.
piano?
There's those paintings again I was telling you about, but these
Oh,
are
there was
actually
no
in a
piano
chrome
back
frame
then.
instead of the wood.
That would literally feel like a
Got
sauna.
another little screen
know?
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah. There's a shower right there. Look.
And
See
you're
the shower?
completely wide open, no privacy shower. In fact, where would it's got a little drain there, but unless it has some kind
Unless it do
of
good wood
magical
floors.
way of attracting the water, you're gonna get. I don't know if you ever walked on a wooden floor when it's wet. It's pretty slick. Moving around to the side, we have another shelf with a few little knickknacks
So I'm going to
here.
stop here. But this is to give you an idea that back then, do you
looks like
guys remember us like thinking this was ugly? I mean, maybe
It's
we
a
may have thought it was
disaster.
tacky. I mean, we may have thought it was tacky, but did we think it was bad? Like, you know, when you look back on it now, we thought this looked cool. I think back then, didn't we?
No.
No.
I don't remember this version of the Phoenix.
Really?
Maybe my interest came, like I said, like when Josh Kuhn did the rework. That's when my interest peaked. I don't remember this may be my first time seeing the interior of the old Phoenix.
Wow.
But one thing I want to point out, this who's the one who did this tour again? Let me look at the notes.
Buzzkiller.
It's Buzzkiller.
Mhm.
Buzzkiller. Can you tell how excited Buzzkiller is about this ship?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, he's,
Yeah. Buzzkiller is really excited.
he.
And one thing
Mhm.
I want to remind people: the Phoenix is Chris Roberts' favorite ship, from what he said. So
Mhm.
yeah, I can see why that got a rework. Maybe he was happy with this at the time and said they could do better.
Yeah.
This looked bigger on the inside than what we got now. Maybe because of all the components and stuff they had to put in and metrics and everything.
Mhm.
But I mean, like all those seats and stuff like that. Yeah. I guess the Phoenix does have a lot of empty space in the middle now, but they had to make room for the Archimedes at the back of the ship. So maybe that's what it is. But yeah, the interior of this Phoenix look a lot bigger.
It is. It's much bigger. The newer design is much narrower and much smaller. Not narrower, but it doesn't take up as much space because you have to look at the old design of the whole Connie series. They were all the same size, but just different configuration. And now
Right.
that's changed dramatically on them. You know, they all have distinctive interiors in them. That big long corridor you saw that went from the captain's chair to the back. If you go to the other Connies, if you remember, there used to be a drop down area into the storage area below from there. this was a really weird design. I mean, Jade said it a few minutes ago, is that a lot of it does not make sense. There's items in there that are just kind of put in, but even now, that's part of the problem with the Connie Phoenix for a lot of people, is that they think the flow is still, it's better, but it's not still in a good place right now, you know?
Even now, I think I want to say the Constellation Taurus is a little bit longer than the other Phoenix. I have to look that up to be sure, but I think that's what it is now.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, we're going to move forward. We just wanted to give you guys a little taste of what ships look like in 2015. Now, this was in April of 2015, okay? So now we're going to take a look at the social module, because Kelosal mentioned this earlier, and this was shown at Gamescom in August of that year. And you guys are going to kind of see the area that Kelosal was referencing earlier. This is the one without the, this is the press one, doggone it. All right, so we'll have to talk through this, because there's one with Chris doing it. But you guys, let's talk about this, because Kelosal, you were describing this area earlier, right? When you came off the elevator, when you logged in?
Yeah, you came up the elevator, you get to choose where you get to go to the holodeck or the holosuite, whatever it was, or Area 18. And you came in here, and you know, this was pretty much the area where you went and got checked before you went out into the general population. I love this area here, you know, and when you look at their commercials, there were people being scanned, but when you actually played it, you weren't being scanned at the time. You would just go straight through. And when you went out these doors, then it was, you know, a hallelujah Jesus moment of Area 18. Yep. Quite exciting at that time. There were people riding buggies around there, because this was, you know, populated with people running around buggies, and it was a death camp, because if you got in the way of it, you died. You know, you got hit, you died. And people blowing up buggies to there's the one of the bars over there that was right behind. If you go directly 180,
right, this was going over to this is going over to the gun shop where Cubby Blast was on this
right,
side,
Cubby Blast
over here. And to your point, there were people, this is around the time when I want to say the servers were only holding, was it either 8 or 50, 20, 25? We weren't at 50.
I don't remember.
We weren't at 50.
Yeah, we weren't at 50, no.
Yeah. Now you guys can look at how Cubby Blast is now, and you can see this is still the general layout of Cubby Blast, even though Cubby Blast looks different.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
I want to say that my favorite part of Art Corp is still that art piece, that globe with the gears inside. Like I still want a miniature version, like a snow globe of that.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been asking for that since, well, basically since Art Corp came out. The social module came out, but no go. Yeah, that's my favorite part right there. And one thing I do, maybe I should wait until we get there, but on the bridge, when you look up, you can see the skybox and the ship and everything going by. That was cool back there.
Yeah, that was neat.
I'm going to see that there's usually some dialogue going on here, because this was a live demonstration when they did it. I'm going to move it forward just a little bit. This is now walking back the way we came, going back toward the medical center, which Kelosal talked about earlier. There was like a waiting room that you would step into first, and then there were glass doors behind it. You couldn't go in there. When you would die in here, you would wake up in that glassed-in area, and then you would come out through the waiting room. So this was like our first thing of us seeing what the quote-unquote hospital was going to look like.
Right.
Brings back some scary memories. Inside those cabinets were different medical devices, the things like the medipens we have and the med guns and stuff were all behind it, but you couldn't access them. It was more like a display, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that was the room back there. I don't know if we could get into that room that was over there.
Yeah, no.
At that
You
time.
can glitch into it, maybe. You can get glitched into it, but that was it. Yeah.
There were, I think, 5 areas here that we could go into. The hospital was one, Cubby Blast was another, G-Lock Bar was another area. We could go into Dumper's Depot. and I don't remember if the ship area. Yeah, I think it was. The ship area was open.
It was. Yeah, it's across the bridge.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. And the TDD. The TDD was available too. Yeah.
Can I say one thing about this thing that still impressed me? The water reflection, the reflection in the water, that still impressed me, even today.
This was what they called the job well. Obviously, this is where you were supposed to go pick up your missions. There were terminals in here, I think, but the terminals didn't work because there were no missions in the game at this time.
I didn't have that time. Things were not working.
And in one of the places, you had like a picker for different commodities and stuff like that. They weren't accurate, obviously.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say that was one of the areas that we used to be able to glitch into. Everybody tried to figure out how to get out there to that Connie that was out there, Connie Taurus. And there was a way to do it. I got out there a few times. I actually have some footage of getting out there. It's kind of weird, but that was a big deal.
When you did it, you were not discouraged. You were unimpressed.
Yeah, you were unimpressed. Yeah, because it was everything on this side was legit, but when you went behind it, it was just a graphic. There was nothing there.
A skeleton. It was barely a skeleton.
It was like, oh god, I thought I was gonna get on the Connie. There was nothing there.
I think back then, the real Constellation had like one of the rivets had like 2,000 polygons in it, so it took up a lot of resources for graphic power. So I think that's why they did it that way.
Now, was this impressive to you guys back then when we first came here? Did you feel this was pretty impressive? Yeah.
Yes. I felt like I was almost on Coruscant.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And this was very impressive. Gave you that type of. I think at one point you could hear the audio. At one point, somebody speaking. When they started putting the audio in the game.
Yep.
This was a popular spot for people. G-Lock.
Yep. We hit the lit floor, but there was no music playing. There were no monitors.
Yep.
There were no commercials. None of that stuff was there.
No NPCs. Couldn't hold the drinks. Couldn't touch the drinks.
Right.
No drinks being served to you.
Couldn't talk to the bartender. You saw that spinning Mustang right there. That's all it was. They went in full motion video.
That's all it was, too.
Those were the days.
That was one of the things that I do miss. The fact that even though they were just animations or whatever, graphics, the ships flying made the place feel alive, you know?
Right, I do. I agree. I do miss that.
I disagree, Togi. I've gotten drunk many a times dealing with the bartender. Recently.
I mean, you had a player. I don't know if the player still works, but you have a player. You can get drunk. You get drunk from one of your subscriber players.
Yeah.
Kasaba Outlet was here, but it wasn't open. It was an opening soon sign on it, and we always wondered what Kasaba was. Nobody knew what Kasaba was at the time. This is the bridge that fastcart was talking about.
Yeah, this bridge was my favorite part. I would look up and just stay there for like 10, 15 minutes just to admire the view.
Yeah, watch the ships fly.
Ships fly. You saw a lot of great ships fly over. You know.
Yeah.
That was always a good scene.
Yeah, the empty skies is the thing that I miss the fact of seeing ships flying around. And you guys can see them there a little bit more. Astro Armada, that's what I couldn't think of the name of. Astro Armada was, this was like obviously the real clean and slick ship dealer room. And this hasn't changed much. This is one of the elements that has remained pretty close to how it was from when we had it in the social module. Most of these other areas have changed dramatically. This one has stayed pretty close. I think other than adding the terminals, the kiosks, that's probably the biggest thing that they changed.
I'm not sure if I've been in the Astro Armada since the Art Corp became a planet.
Oh my
I probably
God.
have.
Are you serious?
I probably have. I just don't remember. It's been a long time. When did Art Corp? What year was that? That was a long time ago.
Well, we know it was at least 10 years ago. 9 years ago. No. About 8, probably 8 when ArtCorp
Yeah,
came in.
well, probably 2017,
Mhm, maybe
2018.
Yeah. Take care, Glade. Have a good night, buddy.
Take care.
Well,
2019, Jay said.
Hurston
2019.
was
So 6
because
years.
Hurston was 3.3, right?
Yeah, Jay said 3.5.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, like when Elcourt came in, I did the filter and everything, but now I only go there whenever there's the IAE on Victus or something like that.
See, I was hoping that ArtCorp would still look like this even when they put it out, because I still like the look of this type of an ArtCorp. I thought this was like old. There'll be areas where there's like new ArtCorp and old ArtCorp, and this to me was like old ArtCorp to me. And of course, there's Stumper's Depot.
Now, mind you, we couldn't do anything in these places. There wasn't anything to
Nope.
buy, nothing to trade, nothing to grab. This was
You
just
look around,
set
and
pieces.
explore,
Yeah, they were just set pieces. That was it.
and go ooh and ah.
Yeah. That was it.
Oh, now this is one thing I did enjoy. You ever look at that
Oh, yeah.
barrier to
I've-
get behind
I've
there?
been all the way back there with it. Yeah, with the ship. With the,
What did you see?
The anvil. Oh, yeah, half of a ship. Yeah, it was disappointing. It was disappointing when you got back there. Yeah.
It looked impressive before that, though, right?
Yeah, it did. Oh, it did. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right, so that gives you guys an idea of, this is what they call the social module. Again, none of this was connected. This is the only thing you could do. You logged into the launcher and you picked area 18 and you went here, and that was all you did. Nothing else to do here. Other
You ran each other over.
Other than when Colossal said the buggies were in there and you ran people over. That was it.
Yeah.
So in 2015, the assessment for this was this game playable? Was it something that we could, actually do gameplay with? And pretty much the answer is no. I don't know. It's almost hard to remember, what did we do for so many hours back then? Because we were in this game for hours, even back in 2015. But it was very limited when you start talking about what type of gameplay could you do.
I would come in religiously after every patch and redecorate my hangar.
Oh yeah. Decorating the hangar was probably the one thing that people did. Yeah, people spent a lot of time in their hangars back then.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to show you one more thing, and then we're going to take our break, our commercial break. This is actually one of the earliest pieces of footage that we have of what it would be like to go through a jump point. So we're going to show you this jump animation. It's only 45 seconds long, but in light of what we've seen CIG produce over the years, everything from when they created the jump gate as a demonstration of the technology into what we have now in the wormhole, I was really surprised after watching this as we were preparing for this show this week to see how close this was, because I'd actually forgotten that they had showed us what their vision of jumping through a wormhole was going to be like. So a jump point. So let's take a look at that video real quick, and then I want you guys to give me your thoughts about this in comparison to what we have now. Here we go. That's not the right video. Hold on. That is not it. This is it here. I think. Nope. Here we go. There's no audio here. What do you guys think?
I do love the way that ship took off, the way it
The stretching
disappeared
thing.
front to
effect.
back.
That was it. What do you think in comparison to what we have now? I've got pros and cons on both of them.
I mean, I'm glad they brightened up the jump gate or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still waiting for the other new tech of when you go into
Mm-hmm.
jump. But that was a neat visual as it first went into
Yeah.
um, quantum.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was quantum or going into a wormhole. Obviously, we
There's
see
worm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, we're still waiting for that other visual. I can't wait till that comes in. But this is close enough to where they're leading us to right now. So
I thought that the barriers that they have, I don't know what they call those things that they put in it that you have to dodge, but the fact that those were in here, I didn't remember those being in here from the first time. The stretching effect is cool. I mean, we've seen that with the new quantum. I forget what they call the new jump thing. They want us to be able to do the quantum jumping thing. It has some type of effect like that. It'll be interesting to see if they do incorporate that into this. To me, they did a good job. I mean, it's to me, it's close. It's close to what this was for the Vision, 10 years ago. And like you said, Colossal, they're continuing to tweak it, so maybe we will see it. The other thing though that does happen here though is that this was also done during the period of time when we used to think that jump points had different sizes. There was small, medium,
Mm-hmm.
large, and extra large. And obviously, taking a character through a very narrow corner like that would be difficult. And CIG has amended that and now made it so that these things are going to be a certain size, which makes a little bit more sense, I guess, for what they're doing. So anyway, that's that. FC, how did it look to you? Looked okay?
Yeah, I do like it's a bit dark, like Colossal said, but
Mm-hmm.
that's an fact. I can't wait to see more of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably my favorite part.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to kind of pick up from Squadron 42. We're going to talk about how the game looked back in 2015, which is going to be really interesting. So hopefully you guys will stick around for that. Hope you guys are enjoying it, and just give us a few minutes, and we will be right back after 1 minute. Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We hope that you guys are enjoying this look back 10 years ago, a decade ago, of the state of the game, what Star Citizen was like. We're going to be showing you what Squadron 42 looks like as we go through the rest of the show. But thank you guys for being here, and as always, as supporting us here on Twitch. Let's see, what was I going to say? Next Sunday we're going to be doing a show based on Squadron 42 called The Interviews of Squadron 42. Fastcart's going to be doing that. Hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that. There's some video footage that we know a lot of people have never seen with the interviews of the actors that are in it, so it's going to be really cool. And again, thank you guys for being here with us, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of today's show. Okay,
Wait.
we are back. We are back. We are back. I hope you guys enjoyed that little 1 minute break, and we are going to take you guys into some things that we were talking about how stuff looked like it was in gray box with the Phoenix fast card, and how stuff looked,
Mm-hmm.
even though back then we thought it looked fabulous. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
brace yourselves. Some of you have seen this
Oh
video
boy.
before because we've talked about it in the past, but we are going to watch a bit of the Morrow Tour. And when the Morrow Tour came out, we thought this was cool. All right. We were just ready for Squadron 42. All right. So we want to show a little bit of that to you folks. And we're going to talk about it. I think this one is the one without Chris talking, if I'm not mistaken. No, this is the live version. So you're going to get some narration. This was shown at CitizenCon in October of 2015. Okay. I think this was next, or is it the live demo? Maybe it's the live demo. I'm trying to watch our time here. No, I'm sorry. This is going to be the 2.0 live demo that we're going to watch first. My apologies. Squadron 42 is going to come after this. So sorry about that, folks. We're going to be watching that first, okay? So here we go. Oops, wrong one. Nope, wrong one.
So having said that, we're now going to show you a demo of working in SC Alpha 2.0, all live like we did last time. So let's play a little bit and sort of kind of see all the things that we've talked about being all together. All right? Take it away, Andy, and I'll talk you through. Okay, so here we are. There's 64 different places you can spawn in. There's sort of your habitats, or not your habits, your little sort of cabins. So when you join the large world /SC Alpha, there's various different rooms. There's your own particular rooms. So here we got 4 of our folks here, and we're on Port Olisar. So I think we're going to head to the atrium. Okay, and so when you spawn on the space station, you can go to these different terminals and call up one of your ships to be on one of the landing pads. So we're going to pull up a Constellation. So we're all, because, you know.
They're walking slow ship pasta because they want to simulate, you know,
how many landing pads do we have on Port Olisar?
versus us who run all the time.
10. I think there's 10 landing pads. So you
And they don't
spawn,
wanna fall
you
through the
have your
floor.
ship spawn, and they'll stay on that landing pad for a period of time. If you don't claim it after a while, they'll be put back in the hangar, basically. So,
Yep, that's what the ASOPs
we'll
look
get,
like,
let's
Jay.
get our merry band of brothers together and head to the
By the way,
Constellation.
Port Olisar had no hospital at that time.
Right.
Yeah. Port Olisar didn't have
And the whole
supply.
the space station's built out with access to all the 4 landing, all the 10
How many
landing
times did you
pads
die
and
that
stuff.
you didn't
So
have your
it's,
helmet on
it's built
when
out
you
in a much
went through the
larger
airlock?
scale than we did on the game.
Not back then. Not back then, because when we back then, you were defaulted with your stuff on. It was later when they tested it and took it off of you that
Did we
started
go to the wrong
happening.
door to get to the landing pad?
But it happened to me a lot of times. Put it that way.
Yeah, but that was in
When it happened.
2016. That's my point. That wasn't in 2015.
One of our players is taking a Hornet, so we're taking a Hornet, and the other 3 are going to be on the. So I guess this was on landing pad 2, and then the other guys are on 4, which you can see over here. And if we look over here, we can see the guys walking out. the landing
Man,
pad.
yeah. We were excited back then for that.
Yeah, Coffee, you're right. The first time we went out there and we saw Crusader out there, it was amazing. Seeing the big rings spinning on the station, it blew your mind.
Get up into the Constellation.
when the wings were spinning, when they
The
were.
Constellation is almost done. It'll be done when we ship this. It's missing a few little bits, but if you take a look, it's quite beautiful. So, as we said before, the Constellation's had a complete overhaul. It's built up to the quality that the Retaliator is now. Whole extra level of detail.
You guys can see how quickly that interior changed from the Phoenix when they did this. You don't have that gray box look anymore. They've added more textures, more color. Doors are different.
Anvil Aerospace. All systems online. Scanning landing.
There's the old landing pad. Remember that? It showed the dot where you landed on the radar.
We should come back into the Constellation.
Serious fun for the subscription for 14 months.
How about a view from inside too? Would be kind of cool, huh? And we're going to head to this communications satellite to turn it back on, which has been sort of sabotaged by pirates. There's likely there'll be pirates spanning. Yeah, yep, so we're in hyperdrive. So you move around here a little bit, so it's kind of pretty cool to...
Montage deactivated.
Right, so here we are, coming up to the communications satellite.
Scanning. Bogey.
Oh, looks like there's some pirates around here, so we probably should go fight them. So... I know, it's a surprise.
It's a trap!
Yeah, so this is part of the SC Alpha 2.0. So there's various areas. So like these are AI pirates that would spawn around the communication satellite that are disabled. Oh, see the Hornet just go past. There we go. Should we get in the someone get in the turret?
Scanning. Bogey. Shields charging. Shields charging. Bogey scanning.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here for you guys. And I really want to reflect back to what do you guys remember most about when we would watch presentations like this? I'm going to turn the volume down. Kelosal, I'll go to you first. What was the thing you remember back in 2015 when you saw presentations like this? We're muted.
Sorry, the fact that there wasn't that many games, if any, like this that gave you this type of immersion at that time. So I mean, I remember, Crash the Station. I remember certain characters that were there that are no longer in the game right now for whatever reason they took them out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the HUDs, the MFD HUDs.
Let me stop you for a second.
Yeah.
People don't remember this. Tell them what's happening on this screen right here. What came out?
Oh, your ship is being repaired. Yeah, the repair drones coming out here to repair your ship or refuel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was at one of the stations where you could go ahead and get repaired at. You would go ahead, you would land down. It's Cryastro, you would land down, and there was a hatch that they would come out of, and they would literally go around, and these blue lights would start, spewing around your ship like you see right now, and they would literally repair your ship. Whatever engine that piece was off was being repaired. That's not in game right now, but they did hint at maybe bringing these things back. So we'll see.
Not only would they repair your ship, it would rearm your ship too, with whatever ammo or missiles that you might have fired off.
And this was a hot spot for pirates because they knew that people had to come here to get refueled, and you landed really quickly to get refueled and repaired, and then you took off really quickly to go ahead and start fighting again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine if they would put that back in, it would take longer to repair and rearm and refuel.
Fastcart, what about you? What do you remember about this period of time when we went to places like this?
This was the year before my first CitizenCon. I went to LA. This was in 2015. I want to say it was in Manchester, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the famous, infamous hangar. The hangar CitizenCon. that was a big hubbub back then. People thought that was some people thought that was in the game. Some people thought it was like a prop, but no, that was a real plane. But it was just they were in a hangar for the particular CitizenCon. But as far as the presentation goes, Oh man, it's been a while. I barely remember anything about it.
Okay.
To be honest, it's been a while.
Okay.
But I do remember, experiencing all this for the first time, and when I went into the game, I do remember being excited for it, and excited to because back then this was all upcoming. We got all this within a year, I want to say. So
Mhm.
we didn't have this like far-flung vision of what was coming, or maybe that was a mixture that was later on. But we got this almost immediately.
Yep. This is Kovalex. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, again, this is just showing you again where the game was, the state of the game in 2015. This was October. Just before CitizenCon. Oh, no, this is part of CitizenCon. This was part of the presentation.
CitizenCon.
Yeah, this was part of the presentation.
Right.
So what they showed us was that this was the persistent universe side of it. And now we're going to see when they showed us the Squadron 42 side of it. And again, keep in mind, this is 2015 in Manchester. Let me turn that off. And let me turn this on.
And I will warn you, there are some dialogue sync issues in a part of this, but here we go, let's watch it.
To Stanton. 85 to Stanton. Got a late transfer and a last batch of supplies. Requesting permission to land.
Stand by. Hold for landing assignment. You're clear to land.
Copy. On approach.
Oh, hey! You must be the new pilot. Geez, they really got you jammed in here, huh? Welcome to the Stanton. I'm Eugene Morrow, Chief Engineer.
Get out the way. What's the number on that one?
This one's ID 523R6.
Okay, got it.
Excuse me, sir.
Seriously, Morrow? I'll tell you when we find your converters. You? Lieutenant Commander Kelly wants you to report to the briefing room?
Jeez, Webb. That's how you welcome someone aboard? You're not even going to introduce yourself.
I'm Petty Officer Webster, Chief Mechanic. You should go to the briefing room.
You're hopeless, Webb.
I'm busy.
I'm heading to engineering. I can give you the tour.
He has a map. He'll be fine.
Tour sounds great.
Great! It'll only take 2 seconds. I'll wait for you by the stairs.
All good. So you think they're gonna last longer than Heater? Anybody will last longer than Heater. Old man hated Heater.
That wonderful ship.
Question is, will they last longer than Lowball? Well, standard.
Interesting to see what assets are very close to how they are now and which ones have changed dramatically. Character model, definitely.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
All set. Let's go.
Yeah, Sandgroper, that was a real issue back in the day. CIG pulled back on that bouncing with the walk because some people, it was really messing with them, you know, getting headaches and stuff.
Yeah.
The only person I ever see her hang out with is Kelly. and I'm pretty sure all they talk about is work. Anyway.
All entries must be immediately reported to your supervisor.
Yeah, prisoner, this is part of what was the tutorial. CIG has kind of kept the revealing in Squadron 42 very limited and kept it more towards, you know, the prologue or like you coming onto the ship for the first time. That's just about the most they've taken it.
I'm going to be the voice in your head while you're flying. Don't you worry, though. I'll be gentle. Oh, did you hear about Claude? He's on PD. What did he do? No idea, but apparently he really ticked off Kenny.
Connie's not going to believe this.
Flight Ops. Flight Ops, this is AV-1. Come back.
How'd it go? AV-1, this is Flight Ops. I've got you. Just waiting for some traffic to clear the deck, but we
better get out of his hair. Next stop, the main deck. Zito's great, but a bit of a gossip. Don't tell him anything you don't want the whole crew to know. Rumour has it that's why his ex left. But he's probably better off. Told me she had a gambling problem.
You seen Luther since you got back?
No? Why?
Now, I don't know, fastcart, have you been on the Idris since when most recently, since it's been available for people to get on, or no?
I went on the Idris when it first was available. I don't think I've been on recently.
Okay.
Start from the top. Prepare yourself, my son. This.
And here's the mess hall. Hey everyone, this is a new pilot. Barracks in the heads through here too. Yeah, chow's pretty good. Never try the lamb, no matter what anyone tells you.
Refer to your handbook for a complete list of contraband items. Have your declarations ready for
There you are. Did you get the converters? White wants an ETA on that relay.
Right. I might need you to grab them from Webb while I finish taking a new pilot to the briefing room. Connie, new pilot. New pilot, Starman Connie Hay.
So I'm going to stop right there. There's your character model. Kelosal, what are your thoughts? Back then, did that look great?
I mean...
it's hard, right? Compared to what we have now.
I mean, you know, like I said, if we had the foresight to, you know, to see where we were then compared to where we are now,
yeah,
you know, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the cries of "let that game come out now" sounds good, does it? I mean, you know, I mean, at that time, I mean, good Lord, but once again, going back to that moment, this was. I mean, at that point in time, 10 years ago, I mean, thank you for the reminder. 10 years ago, this game was like, it was transcending, you know, and a lot of us was liking this. But boy, looking at it now, we're like, I'm glad it didn't come out, you know. right, you know, start taking a sheet of paper, balling it up, and throwing it out, you know. But yeah,
yeah. It's funny because like things about the ship, there are things about the ship where I can definitely tell that they've done, you know, details better and stuff. But the character model in particular is the thing that really feels off here for me. I can almost deal with the way the Idris looks, but it definitely, yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues. There's lighting issues. That aspect of realism that I think that even back then they wanted. To your point, Kelosal, I think this was good at that time. It looked good at that time in comparison to other games. I think the biggest thing that we noticed in this was collision issues and things like that. But I don't think anybody complained about, you know, there's no hair there, right? It's more of a helmet. But I don't remember anybody complaining about the hair, you know, even back.
Well, no, the one complaint when a person stepped into the Argo transport, the hair popped in for briefly.
Well, that's loading in. Well, that's
but
LOD
that
stuff.
was loading in, right?
Yeah, LOD
right.
stuff. Yeah.
And as for me, I couldn't wait to play it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking forward to it, but you know, looking back now and 10 years later, I'm like, okay.
Are you trying to say that you wouldn't still be playing the game? Is that what you're trying to say, fastcart? You think you would have been done by now?
Quite for the 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, but when you look at it, Griff, as well, you got to look at what you also had out at that time.
Yeah.
Imperium just came out August 5th, 2015.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and we saw the gameplay for that and the build for that's completely different. The other games you had out was Kerbal Space Program in 2015, Star Wars Battlefront, Sid Meier's Starships, Homeworld Remastered, Z the Dimensional, Rebel Galaxy. You really didn't have that many games that gave you this look.
Yeah.
Homeworld
You know?
Remastered wasn't even out by then. This was before Homeworld Remastered.
Homeworld Remastered was 2015.
Wow.
Oh, really? Okay.
It came out at that time. Yeah, it came out at that time. It may have come out, you know, around this time or afterwards, but it did come out that year.
Okay. All right.
But you really didn't have this type of look.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
at that time. So I can understand us being hyped up at that time, but looking at it 10 years later, we're like, yeah, well, it's a good thing it didn't come out.
Yeah.
And like we said at the beginning of the show, this is GTX 900 series time or Titan X time. So yeah, and this is before RTX.
Yeah, Elite was out, Cap, but you're right. We didn't walk around the ships in Elite at that time, you know.
That's true. But Toby's point here, he says games aren't just graphics, and that's very true. I think that the issue is that the two things that Chris Roberts focused on, and when you went to these presentations, was immersion and graphics. And there was creating an aspect of immersion here. And at that time, these graphics were very appealing. Our point, though, is that even in 2015, there was still nothing there. This was more sandbox. And even though it was sandbox, there were no tools. There was no weapons. We didn't have anything to make gameplay. The most we had were the ships, combat that was done in ships. There were some minor mission things that were out there that you could do, but anything that would have given longevity to the game was still on the horizon. It wasn't in the game yet.
And the games that I did call out were all finished games.
Yeah.
This one was not.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair about that. There were med pins, but we didn't use them. I don't know if we used them or not.
No, because remember, we were still in this was what they were showing us. We weren't doing this yet. We were still in Area 18 in the freaking module.
Okay, yeah.
And they were and the med pins were visible for us to see, but we couldn't use them.
We didn't even have clothes. Not to be funny. I mean, there was no changing of clothes and helmets. Nothing. You know. So 2015, and whether you're talking about Squadron or whether you're talking about the persistent universe, we just were not in a space yet to have a game in the sense of it. This was all still very much testing concepts and ideas big time, you know. And this is one of the reasons why people, because they saw this and we saw the Idris physicalized, there was this feeling that, oh, it must not be that far away, you know, not knowing that this was just one portion of the Idris. This was not the working Idris that they're walking around on, you know, at that time.
I would also like to remind people, Sandy Roberts was on Inforunners, I want to say a year ago now or so, and she said that they didn't, the company was still being made back in 2015.
It was 2 years. Yeah, it was 2 years at this time. It was 2 years in existence at this time as far as what they were doing. As far as what they were doing. You know, and even because when you look at
they had a whole lot of outside sources like Moon Collider, with that Ilphonics and everything like that. So that's why that's one of the reasons why the metrics were out of whack, because they had so many different external outsourcing. But then when they brought everything under one roof, but all that bringing everything under one roof took time.
Right, and I believe the Crytek lawsuit didn't happen until 2017.
Yeah, it was
so
after. It was
which they had to redo everything all over again with that piece. So at this point in time, they're 2 years, and if you look at the rest of the videos that we don't even have on here yet, the holiday special, Ben Lesnick said that this game was 2 years in production at that time. You know, in 2015. So.
And I think something Jade says here says that this was actually more of a tech demo, which is really what it was. It wasn't a vertical slice. This really was giving a demonstration of what they were able to do technically in the game, We don't really see any gameplay in here. There was no gameplay in this whole thing with the Morrow tour.
Right.
But it was just showing what they were able to have done visually and technically as far as as Squadron 42 went. Okay. Let's move on to the next one here, because we also want to talk about some behind the scenes footage, and then we're going to show you what the end result was. So the Morrow tour was giving us an idea of Squadron 42. Then they're going to do this behind the scenes piece that talks about the technology that they're developing, and then you're going to see how different things looked within that year, how dramatically things changed within the game. So let's take a quick look at that.
Motion capture is just the body, you know, like the head position, but it's not the facial, not the performance. So all the stuff that we're shooting on performance capture is all the performance in Squadron 42. So the dramatic scenes, you know, people's dialogue, and so we capture their emotions and you know, what they're saying and what's happening on their face to map it all onto their sort of digital alter egos inside the world of Squadron 42. And we'll be doing that here in the Imaginarium stage at Ealing Studios for the next 3 months.
My name is Ian Duncan, and I'm playing the player. So everything's from my point of view, and all the interactions that every character has, it's with my character. Kind of cool and different. So I'm looking forward to the challenge.
I'm getting my markers on my head and my body. No, I'm getting markers on my body and a camera on my head.
Yes. We wear the cameras and the headgear so it captures the performance.
Regular every day at work.
We've got this helmet on our heads that actually films every little close-up.
I mean, you can't really get much closer than this. It's going to pick up every single feature of ours.
All those other many cameras and gizmos capture the physicality.
I don't know, 50, 60 or so cameras. I'm just making up a number there. I did mocap last time 5 years ago, and it's already evolved.
I think I look pretty sexy. And that's why I'm here. Oh, thanks. Scan down. Just to check. That's the money shot.
Because everyone looks very odd. Wearing, like, you know, all-in-one, very suits that don't leave much to the imagination.
You feel very self-conscious, but the trick is obviously to lose that self-consciousness and just kind of be yourself within the space and play the character within the space.
A bit like being in a theatre workshop.
It's all in your mind.
Home to the famous Squadron 42.
Yeah, it's like make-believe.
Yeah, it's like being 5 again.
Yeah, it's like being 5 again.
Whoa! Mental, physical training's been pretty intense. I sat and had a cup of tea this morning and then came here.
So you have to go through a series of 90+ expressions, ranging from frowning, smiling, looking up, looking down, left, right. And the combination of all those things mean that they can then control the way that you look digitally.
First time you do it, it can feel very weird. It's quite a test. I love it. I feel very at home here.
From what I gather, Chris is a bit of the sort of George Lucas of this stuff. Really putting you in the game in a way that we don't have right now, where you have emotional connections with characters.
In the old days when I did Wing Commander, I felt like we sort of advanced sort of cinematic storytelling in games back then, and I think, you know, our cast is something that you would have in a movie, definitely, in a way that you don't normally see in games, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. He's kind of the charming, famous one.
What took you guys so long? You almost missed all the fun.
I want you to hear this. Sit down.
We had Liam Cunningham this morning, who's playing Captain White. I think Bishop's going to be a great character. Gary's awesome to work with, and, you know, he's bringing a lot of nuances to it.
Some of you may be asking why I undertake such a thing. I can tell you in one word. Victory!
Kid, you better be on your way.
A little bit starstruck.
Defeat!
It's like an extra level of nerdy geek out.
EVA back to your ship.
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, we were going through a list of actresses that we thought would be believable as Gary's daughter. Gillian was my top choice. We'll handle it exactly the way you did on the X-Files. she's great. She's tough. She's awesome. She definitely holds her own. We got Harry Treadaway, who's amazing here.
I think we're getting drunk before we even start work, so it's a good day at work.
Oh, this is Space Whiskey. It's 5,000 year old. Yeah, single malt. Just been a really joyous experience.
Yeah, I mean, working with all the A-listers was just amazing. The fact that I got to be in every single scene was a real honor.
Cast and Chris have done an unbelievably great job. It's going to kick other games in the ass.
The message to fans would be that thank you for enabling us to do something at this level. What we shot here was way beyond what initially I thought I would be able to do. So I know it's hard to wait, but trust me, it'll be something that I think you'll be glad that you supported. Thank you so much, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm pretty excited to see it sort of come alive.
It's going to be a cracker. Yeah.
One of the things I want to highlight there is that they were mentioning that they shot that at Imaginarium Studios, which just last week, CIG just put out their video with their performance capture studio that they have built in the UK, in Manchester. It is the largest, as they mentioned, in that area. Imaginarium was owned at that time by, what's the guy's name?
Oh, yeah. Gollum.
Not Gollum. What's his name?
I know, but that's the character. Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Andy Serkis. Thank you. So Andy Serkis, they were using his facility at the time, and we got a chance to see what it looked like. And I can tell you, because we visited the Manchester studio, theirs is much bigger. Serkis's was actually one of the biggest ones at the time, but the one that CIG's built is really much larger and much more high tech. It's a very nice performance capture studio that we got to visit while we were there in the UK in Manchester. So just showing you what the animations look like when we watch the Moral Tour, and now we're going to watch the Admiral Bishop speech, and you're going to see how different within a year's time with them doing the higher level recording of the faces and everything, what the product looked like. It's a big difference. So let's take a quick look at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this emergency session is called to order. Admiral Bishop, you have the floor.
For 200 years, we have battled the Vandal. We have caught these attacks, raids, or skirmishes or incursions. But I am here to tell you that we are at war. Tiber, Orion, Caliban, Virgil, once human systems all but abandoned in the face of the enemy. The Vandal are at our gates, weapons bared while we hide and cower, retreating as they burn and decimate everything around us. We cannot let the tragedy of Vega happen again. We cannot give the Vandal any more ground. To defend this empire, we must attack. And we have to be committed to that attack, whatever the cost may be. We have to rebuild our fleet. We have to use the power of human innovation to reclaim these so-called red systems and strike back at the enemy. This will not be an easy fight. It will cost us in resources, in credits, in lives. Well, some of you may be asking why undertake such a thing, and I can tell you in one word: victory. For if there's one thing the Vandal has taught us, it's that without victory, there can be no survival!
Okay, so here we can see there's been a dramatic change in the graphics fidelity of the game. This was within that same year that CIG was able to do that. You guys got any thoughts about the visuals of this or production or anything like that?
Yes. I just gotta say, this is 2015, 2016. The graphics were amazing. We were very impressed. They're trying to say it didn't take much back, to impress us back then, but that's not true. Back then, this was the top notch. There was nothing else like this at the time. Nothing had this level of detail, level of immersion. I'm gonna drink later, but yeah, there's nothing else like this at the time. This is almost like movie studio quality work right there. So yeah, we were very excited and very impressed, and we're looking forward to what was to come. And later on, they did a behind the scenes for the Bishop speech and sort of how they put it together. I don't know how many polygons, how many hair follicles they did, but it was unheard of at the time. It was great.
And this was probably the second tier of it. I mean, they've refined it even more since then because there are comparisons between when they did this one and when they did it in 2017. And you can still see there's a dramatic difference in the quality of the video, even within that amount of time 2 years later. Floss, what about you? The differences between what we saw at Morrow Tour and then what we're seeing here?
The quality of the video was amazing. But then those of us who followed Chris Roberts for a long time with Wing Commander, when you see this type of dialogue and the expression and the script, you knew that this was Chris Roberts, and this is patented Chris Roberts. And so you were excited for not just Chris Roberts, but you were excited for the industry because you was like, finally, you know, we get a game that we've been waiting for, and this is the right person to do it. You know, I'm not praising Chris Roberts at the end of the day, but you know, there are people like him and Mark Braben who are transcenders in the industry because they're giving us things that at that moment we were not getting at that moment in time, and it's good to see that with all the the studios being bought and studios being closed and all the people being laid off, that we still have progress with this particular game here.
I mean, not to be funny, but the graphics that we saw in that Bishop speech was beyond even like Final Fantasy, and that was like anything like Square Enix was putting out at the time. So you got to think about what time it was when it came to graphics and computer gaming.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know I was reading something that Togi said earlier about the building of the studio, and maybe I give some history to the building of the studio. Andy Serkis's studio was the studio that was like the industry standard over in the UK at the time, but he ended up closing that studio down. The studio that CIG built is not a studio per se. It is the equipment and gear. When we did one of the videos when we came back from CitizenCon, one of the videos that we did for the producers was our assessment of when we went over there and saw everything. And what we found out is that, and Ray has a great video on this, on Ray's guide, that these are leased areas. A lot of times when people said CIG is building a headquarters, and I know there are people who thought that that building that we saw in the video was a building that they built. They didn't build that headquarters. They moved into that building. That is leased space that they're in. The place where they shoot the ISCs and stuff is in a studio that is a leased shared space. Their studio for their mocap is equipment that is in a leased space. So I don't want people to think that they have gone out and spent money building a facility. That is not what they have done. What they have done is bought the gear and equipment that is theirs that allows them the flexibility to go in and record whenever they need to versus leasing out space. Because otherwise, I know people might think, oh, all our money went to all this stuff and they're going to be doing all these other things. And that is not necessarily what they have done. But it also does give them the flexibility to shoot when they're ready, when they need to. As you saw on Disco's thing last week, just for that one segment he was doing, they had a full production team and they're working on stuff. And it's not just for this game, but it's for the future. And even the stuff that we do now in the game, in the persistent universe, all our NPC actions and things like that, they come up out of it. So that's kind of grew from that, because we didn't have NPCs back then. Like I said, there was nobody running around in the game back at this time in 2015. Let's take a look at one last piece that was the closeout for that year. And this was in December. And this was the holiday stream for Procedural Planets. And this was probably one of the things, and maybe you guys will remember, when we first saw the first video we showed you, and this was, we talked about this last week on the show, that when you used to come into areas in the original plan, it was that you were going to come to a landing zone. And you could fly in space freely. But if you went to Area 18, you approached Area 18, you called for landing, and then your ship was guided into the planet. And then we didn't know how they were going to make these worlds. And so this was one of the first things that we saw that really gave us an idea of the level of, I hate using the word, fidelity, that Chris Roberts wanted to be able to create. This one video was one of those things that did that. So we're just going to watch part of this because this is kind of a long video too. So it's a 15-minute video. We're not going to sit and watch the whole thing, but we're going to watch this section of it. So FC, maybe you can explain to people why that was a moment of awe, because we're so used to it now, we don't think anything about it. But in 2015, what was so big about People to Planet?
People to Planet, yes. That's still one of my favorite trailers that they put out. Basically, it demonstrated. I mean, it's hard to say back. I mean, back then there was no other game that allowed you to go from a person on a world and expand all the way out in space and go anywhere else in space seamlessly without loading screen. Basically, what it was, in simple terms. And I want to say the captions that they did at the bottom of the screen in that scene, they brought it back in 2023. I don't remember seeing them doing that again until 2023 with the Star Engine demo.
Yeah.
So that's like almost a precursor to the Star Engine demo.
Yeah. Kelosal, do you think that that technology is lost a little bit on us now because it's become literally just common? I mean, we've gotten used to it, that, you know, the idea, and I mean, there are other games that are introducing, I know No Man's Sky's got a really cool thing now with coming in and going into you know, from space down to their planets, but their scale is a little bit different in some of the things that they do to make it happen. But the level that CIG is doing it, do you think that it's just become a common thing? So people to planet doesn't seem like a big deal these days, or is it, or does it? Do you think people still understand, you know, what the achievement is here technically?
You made it.
I think this game built in the I think this game built in the expectation that your space games better have this now. I mean, you know, I mean, this was one of the first ones. People said you couldn't do it. The Voldemorts of the world came out there and said, blah, 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 it's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden, here comes Lorville Hurston in 2018, and boom, we're able to do what people literally said was not going to happen. And now the games that come out now are having that piece, even including, you know, or in their games that's been out for a while that have showed clips of, we're going to do this and still haven't even implemented it. You know, so it was a big moment at that time for it to happen without any types of instances that you see with other games and stuff. That you're literally flying the ship, you're in the ship, you can walk in the ship, then you go ahead and land in a hangar, and all this is seamlessly. You know, this was the build, this was the expectation, this was the challenge. And the fact that now is common is I guess is tribute to what they did here in 2015.
And to Kelos's point, someone famously said, "This piece will take 10 years for them to implement." Or I'm paraphrasing, but it was, and then CIG did it within 3 months, basically.
Yeah. I'm you know, I remember the first time we saw this, and I remember it's interesting that for me, I know I quite often forget that this is a technical achievement, right? Every once in a while, we get somebody who's brand new who comes into the game and they do it, and you hear their expression of surprise, you know, that the game is actually this. And even now, when people have seen videos, if they're not familiar with the technology, their automatic assumption is that it's a cinematic, you know, or it's not real, or it's a loading screen. But I think that sometimes I feel like that gets lost on us a little bit because we've just gotten so used to moving around in the universe that it's now. I'm not saying it should be like a celebratory moment every time we do it. I'm just saying I think that back then it was a celebratory moment. In 2015, this was a big deal. This thing right here, just going into the hangar at Levski, that was a big deal. Doing that, you know. Now we do it, and it's common, you know.
People came from Eve. I'm not Eve. Elite Dangerous 2 years ago. They would come in and they would see something out in the distance and think that was part of the skybox or wallpaper. And but then they would say, people would tell them in chat, no, you can actually go there. And they would look at chat and with disbelief say, what, you can go there? What do you mean? So people some don't. I think now, 2 years later, it's more commonplace. People know better, especially Star Citizen. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. All righty. Well, listen, that was our little tour in time that we wanted to give you all about 2015. For those of you who were around back then, you will remember some of this. Maybe you've forgotten some of it. For those of you who weren't around, we hope that it gave you something to just look at and say, wow, I didn't know the game was like that back then. But I think the conclusion that we would probably present to you guys now is that, you know, even though there was a sandbox feel to the game, and last week we did a show on theme park versus sandbox. The sandbox was extremely limited. It was extremely limited. Most of everything was geared around the ships and a few minor small missions that existed. I don't remember when the Mobi-Glass kind of kicked in with all this with missions, but in 2015, I don't think we were there yet. I think, were we there yet, guys? I don't think the Mobi-Glass was a thing.
I think so, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so how did we get missions, though? We knew to go to Kovalex to do that little weird mission.
Pop up at the top of the screen, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, was that what it was? Oh, God.
I think so.
I've even forgotten. Jeez, it goes back that far. Oh, my God. Well, anyway, yeah, there really was not a game. Yeah, oh no, it's still very much a sandbox, and it's definitely limited, Togi, when it comes to missions, but it's further than what it was. And I think the sandbox dynamic is still tremendously on us as players. I personally feel there's a lot of tools out there, and there are people who've gone out and played for hours and hours, and they do things. I think for the people who are looking for a game that's telling them what to do or guides them, yes, there's a lot of bad things, or not bad things. There are a lot of things that are not placed into the game for consistency and for good game loops that things connect. And CIG has talked about that. But on the other hand, I know people who go into that game and do things in the sandbox with the limited things that are there and spend hours week after week having fun and doing things. So I think it's really a matter of what a player is looking for. Some people are looking for a lot more from a game like Star Citizen right now, especially after so much time has gone by. There are other people who realize what its limitations are and they find ways to work around it and still have fun with it. So yeah, there's a lot there for people to assess as to what type of gameplay they want from this game. We're gonna say Colossal.
Oh no, I just agreed with you.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Well, listen, we are going to wrap things up a little bit, but we want to make a couple of quick announcements for you guys.
We have a Q&A.
Oh, we have some Q&A? All right. What do we got?
Yeah.
What do we got?
We got 4 questions.
Oh.
So no more questions, please, but we'll do these 4. Dirk C, Finra84 asked, what is the point of landing pads anymore? Anytime you call up a ship or land a ship, it's always in your hangars. What is the point of a landing pad anymore?
Yeah.
Fueling.
Yeah.
And refueling.
Yeah, landing pads could be just places where people, like, for example, there are times when people still use landing pads. People will go to landing pads to pick people up and just touch down and leave. Some people just go there and fuel and leave. One of the
and
things,
when the persistence stays in the game, you're going to be able to land in different areas that's not your home location, and stay there while being on the landing pad. So they still have its place.
Are you referring to like landing pads at stations? I think that might be what he's referring to. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm thinking of all of them.
But
Stations,
I want to be
moons,
specific.
planets.
Yeah, but I want to be specific because ones on planets we get that's what we have to use. But I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
I think he might have been referencing the fact that because we have hangars now, referring to
Right.
stations.
I think they were mentioning
we don't use
this
them.
was 2 hours ago. So I think they were
Dirk,
mentioning
Dirk, that's
yeah.
what Dirk says. He says I'm thinking about
So,
stations.
so if you think about stations, then you're using them for refuel. Because remember, even if you're in smaller ships, let's say like a Gladius or like a Hornet, and you didn't get the components that you want to get, you're going to have to stop somewhere to go ahead and refuel really quickly. So the pads are still good for that piece. You go out there, you look for a pad. Don't go for a hangar. You look for a pad. You don't have to call up ATC. You go ahead and land on the pad, refuel, and get out.
Yeah,
There's
some other things about pads too. We have to think about why hangars were introduced a little bit more. One of the things that hangars did was reduce the issue that people were having with encounters, right? You don't have people pad ramming and stuff as much anymore, even though people still do use pads. I know a lot of us, when we were doing the whole sea missions, we would use the pad to get inside because we couldn't dock, and nobody bothered you when you did that. But the other thing too is remember that this is still a part of testing, and that doesn't mean that pads are irrelevant. It may mean that right now, because there's nothing there for us to do. If you notice, those pads have big doors in front of them. There are some other things that may come out of the use of pads that we just haven't seen yet. So the pads in their day had a relevancy because we didn't have hangars. Now that we have hangars, most people use hangars to protect themselves, but there are players who still do land at pads, run inside and do something, come back out and take off. So it's a matter of choice. And CIG has always said they want to give us choices, right? Not that we're limited to any particular thing. FC, what else we got?
So the next 2 are from Fusion Jose Gaming. They put the first one was a statement, but the second one is a question. The first one was, the only other brother I see who plays is Space Tomato. I finally don't feel alone. So welcome, Fusion Jose Gaming. Welcome to the stream. You're welcome to join us and click on the Discord link, and you talk to us after after dark. So we'd love to have you. The question they ask is, how far off do you think we are from engineering and or base building and crafting?
Oh my god!
I know.
Oh my god! Really?
I don't know.
Really? Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead, fastcart.
No, I was gonna say for engineering, I think that's close. Maybe within 3 to 6 months. Base building and crafting, over a year. Yeah, let's go with that.
So so I will be a little bit technical, and then I mean, as far as engineering, we have already tested it, right? There's people who've already tested that piece. So engineering is just here, it's just being perfected, and when it comes out to everybody, it will come out to everybody. I believe it may come out within the next year. Base building, we've just seen demos of that, from whether that be at a Citizen Con or things like that. So I have no answer for the base building, but engineering, I think engineering will come out a lot sooner than base building.
How about crafting?
Crafting, I mean, that goes along with base building, what we saw from what base building is. So I would have the same answer for you when it comes to crafting.
Yeah, I would agree with them. First of all, let me talk about the comment, because Coffee Gaming is definitely putting out some information. There are plenty of other brothers, as you would say, and even some sisters out there. Yo-Yo Meg and some other folks who are out there. You just have to kind of check within the community.
Abdi Johan.
Yeah, but the Abdi Johan, there are plenty of other folks out there. Kimmy65. There are plenty of folks. Meyer, DJ Knight. You just have to kind of look around, but they're out there.
Lavange.
Lavange fan is out there. There's a lot of folks. So, but thank you for stopping here and hanging out with us tonight. We do appreciate that. In relation to those things you've asked about, one of the things that CIG, it's very difficult because people always want to know when, and CIG has done their part of saying when and blowing it, and then they've done their part of saying that we're not going to say when, other than when it's ready. I think that most of us believe that some of the things that you're asking about, like engineering, Kelosal just said it, engineering has already been tested. Getting it implemented into the game, though, when you're talking about over 150 different ships and getting it working is going to be another factor when that happens. Crafting has already started. We started out with crafting something as simple as a piece for the multi-tool, and now that has expanded. But crafting can go much further than that, as you know. That can include everything from the clothing we wear to medical supplies to farming equipment to furniture and habs. So crafting is going to be something that's going to build over a long period of time. So in base building, again, we have to start looking at the very basics of when we're going to start being able to build things. And that starts out with not the Pioneer, but starts out usually with the smaller end of things and works its way up. So smaller ships that will allow us, I forget what the thing is called that Argo makes that allows us to start building. We'll have to start looking for things like that to come into the game. So it's a progression, and it's going to take some time. But I think that over the next couple of years, you'll start seeing a lot of that stuff start to grow more and more into the game. What else, FC?
Again, welcome to Fusion Jose Gaming. So thanks a lot for that. The last question is from Jay Starwatcher. Do you think if Star Citizen came out around this time, people will still be playing it today?
If it came out in 2015?
I don't. If it came out in 2015, when people
it wasn't ready. That was the whole point of this show. It wasn't ready to come out in 2015. There was nothing there. There was literally no game.
In other words, the answer is no.
Yeah, no, but I can't say that because there was no game. If I said were the game elements in place in 2015, would people still be playing it 10 years later? Possibly. But
yes,
all of the
people are still playing Wing Commander.
But yeah, let me finish.
I'm sorry.
all of the game elements would have had to have been there, and that's what was missing. We had visuals, we had some of the technical stuff, but they were still building tools. There was just a lot of stuff that wasn't there. So maybe you could ask the question now: if Star Citizen came out now, would still be people still playing it a year from now or 2 years from now? There's not enough of the game elements there, I don't think, to keep people playing it. Not like in the sense of getting an actual gaming community, right? All of us are coming in as backers, but I'm talking about the commercial side of it, the people who are not coming in to back it, they're coming in to play a game. Would we retain those people a year or two from now? I doubt it, because there's not enough there, and CIG knows that. That's why there has to be at least a 1.0 in order to be in that space, Go ahead, Kelosal. What were you going to say?
That's it.
Mm. Oh, Colosal's point. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying, I apologize. If I took it as if the game was polished and finished. I'll take a different route. If the game was polished and finished, would people still be playing it 10 years later? I would say yes. There are people that's doing that with games now, like the game that I mentioned earlier. You know, even Wing Commander, there are people that pop out whenever you have DLC comments, I mean content or things like that. You can bring out, you can do something to kind of personify a 10-year anniversary. This would have been 10 years, right? If the game was out and it was finished, just like Griff said, if it had all the tools in there and all the bells and whistles, and the game came out in 2015, here we are in 2025, they probably would do an anniversary of that game, some type of something, and people would play it again. So, I mean, people are playing games that are 10 years old now, that's been out 10 years ago. We still got MMOs that's been out for a long time, including Eve. Eve is one of the first ones that's been out for over 10 years, and World of Warcraft and so forth and so forth.
20
And
years
Tibia,
now.
right,
Yeah.
20 years and stuff like that. So, yeah, I really do believe that if the game was polished and finished and had all the bells and whistles that Griff said a game should have when it comes out, I believe people would have been playing Star Citizen even 10 years later.
And Colossal's point is well made in the sense of for open world MMOs, one of the things that keeps them alive is new content, right? The constant building out of a game. Eve has done that. When I was playing Eve, I played Eve for just about 8 years. Almost every year there was some new DLC that got added to the game. We talked about Elite earlier. Elite began to decline because they weren't putting out content. Now, Frontier is now going back and started putting out new stuff. They're talking about doing base building. They've added new ships. They're introducing some new characters and things in the sense of races, possibly. So, and that has given them a resurgence. Now there are people who are actually coming back to playing Elite Dangerous now because they are willing to put in that time to continue to build out the game. So it's really dependent upon the developer, not just on what they have in their hands in that moment, but what will they do over those next few years. And if CIG from 2015 did not continue to build out, not just improving in graphics and things like that, but missions, things you can do, then yeah, any MMO is going to die if there's no real commitment to building it out. And there are some games that they've tried to do that and the games just lose their fire, over time. But for the most part, we've got those examples like Colossal said, like World of Warcraft, Eve, these other games. Look at No Man's Sky that had terrible beginning, and people who stopped and walked away from it. And then there are people who came back to it. And then there are brand new people that they picked up, and that game is thriving. So it can be done, but it's really dependent upon the developer, putting out content that people want to play. Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
That's it. Okay, cool. Well, those are great questions. Thank you, guys. I really, really do appreciate that. Just real quick, I want to mention to you guys again about Quantum Vegas. We talked about this last week. Event that's going to be happening in Las Vegas, Nevada on July the 12th. This is going to be a community-led Star Citizen participating event that we're really looking forward to being at. We're going to have some guests there. Paul Shelley is going to be there as a moderator. Serious Fun's going to be there. We've got Natronics from EE Studios and his wife Kim Ellis are going to be there. And then, of course, folks from CIG. Sean Tracy's going to be there. Tyler Whitkin is going to be there. Galactic is going to be there. And we're just going to have a really, really great Vegas weekend. But it's going to be on a Saturday. So it's going to be on July the 12th. You guys can check out the website at www.quantumvegas.space. Information is there. There's a Bar Citizen the day before on that Friday that Bar Citizen International is going to be throwing at Area 15. You can check out information about Area 15. And hope you guys can come out and check us out and be there for it. It's going to be a really, really fun time. Let's see. What else we got coming up? We got coming up this week or next week on our show. We're going to be doing a show called, well, I'll let fastcart talk about it next Sunday. Why don't you talk about it?
So next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be 11 p.m. UTC. I almost said something else. UTC. We're going to be doing the interviews of Squadron 42. We talk about the mocap and that other aspects of Squadron 42. But back in 2016, 2015, there's a whole bunch of these videos that CIG were putting out, but the stars of Squadron 42. So we'll be covering that next week. So check this out. It's a trip down memory lane, put it that way.
Okay, cool. And then we also want to remind you guys, as you guys know, we are starting a new series. And we're going to be hopefully starting it sometime in April, and it's called Lore Lighthouse. Serious Fun is going to be leading that with some of the other members from the Soul team, and we're going to be digging deeply into the lore of Star Citizen and trying to connect the dots with why lore is important, all types of stuff in relation to what CIG is, the writers of the narrative team has put together, tying things in with the star map, all types of cool stuff. So we hope that you guys will be able to join us. We'll have a launch date for you. We'll give you fair warning when that's going to start. I think it's going to be a Saturday show, if I'm not mistaken. I think Serious Fun talked about Saturday afternoons.
I think it's Saturday, yeah.
So we'll let you guys know when that time gets locked down, but hopefully
I am very happy to be here.
Uber Smith, thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Other than that, I want to say that is about it. You guys got anything else? Are we covering all the bases today? Is that it?
Covered everything.
All righty, all right. Well, we are going to set ourselves up for a raid, and it looks like our good friend. Now, how come my thing says she's on, but now she's not showing up? I've got the thing saying that Yo-Yo Mega's on. Is she on? It just said it a second ago. Did she just log out? She literally just logged out.
I don't see her. Yeah.
I just refreshed when you started talking and she was on, and then now she's gone. Okay. All right. So we will go with. Let's go with Angry PC Tech. We're going to go with Angry PC Tech. It's a good friend of ours. And when you guys get over with Angry PC Tech, let them know that you came over from the Soul Citizens. We look forward to seeing you guys hopefully next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time for our show, the interviews of Squadron 42. Don't forget to check out quantumvegas.space when you get time. And to my colleagues, Fastcart and Kelosal, thank you guys for being here tonight. And as always, as we tell you guys, peace, love, and soul. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. We'll see you soon. Ciao.